Good morning. Good morning for everybody just tuning in. It's week 59. Week 59 of YouTube University. YouTube University, Visibility University, Ask Us Anything. So we're just waiting for students to show up on the live stream and to drop questions in the chat. If you've had we just want to know how your week is going, content and creativity wise. I've been to we just landed in New York. We just landed in New York last night because we've got a YouTube event out in the Hamptons this afternoon, and I was at mansion party. I was at a party in Lake Austin earlier this week, and it was fun chatting with people about their YouTube channels and where they think they have their problems. So this is what I do all week. This is what I do all week long: is have conversations with podcasters, authors, creators, doctors. I was talking to realtors this week about their YouTube channel and just their workflow processes and where they get stuck with making their content, just to see if we can give them some guidance and advice to get them unstuck and get their next video created and their next 100 or next 1,000 subs or the watch time that they're shooting for or whatever their next goal with their YouTube channel is. See if we can move the needle for them, because we've got Julie and I have so many years of experience working on YouTube, building our content, and being consistent in order to get to that coveted over the 1,000 subscribers and over that 4,000 watch hours in order to be considered a monetized YouTuber. Okay, we got a couple viewers. I don't know if we got anybody in the chat yet, but
well, we have a comment. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a good morning. I hope you're having a good morning this far, or afternoon, evening, wherever you're at. Do drop in the comments especially if you're on YouTube and Facebook. Let us know if you have any questions. We're talking about everything that's going on when it comes to creating visibility. Ask us anything. We have James. Hello, James. Where are we from? We are from Earth. Would you like to know where my passport's from, or where I physically was born? You have to be a little bit more.
That's the joke. I'm like, passport's Canadian. Where do you want me to be from? I'm hanging out in Texas. I'm hanging out in New York. I'm hanging out where I got friends who are working on their YouTube channels or taking their podcasts and getting it over to YouTube so they can build their visibility engine for their brand, for their books, for their content. Every creator's got their own story, their own history, what they've done in the past, how they want to make content about their accolades, their books, whatever, and move forward so more people can find them, and vice versa, so they can help more people.
Exactly. So I just want to shout out to Crew. Hello as well. James is from the UK, so that's interesting. I'm assuming it's evening there then, right? Because of how
couple hours ahead of us here in Eastern.
Yeah, a couple hours. It's 9 a.m. here, Eastern North America. We also have an elevator has guide rails. Hello and happy Saturday. So let us know if you have any questions. You can drop in where you are watching from, and we'd love to answer any questions. We do have some stuff we can talk about. Oh, we've got Chemetsky is here. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
We're good. How's your week? I know you've got a lot of stuff going on with your book.
I do. So I have 4 new books that are on Amazon, editing some whole bunch of other things, and my podcast. I have like 6 weeks of episodes. That's my biggest challenge right now, is getting all of them out. I've already recorded them. That's the easy part for me. It's the part about the production. I'm working on production. I just picked up using the script because everybody's like, that's the number one. I'm like, I'm really not that happy with it. For me, right? It's it helps clean up stuff, but that wasn't the problem it solved the problem that I didn't have until now. So,
Well, I think that's what we spoke about, because I know a lot of people are like, "What about shorts? What about shorts? What about shorts?" I'm like, manual editing, Opus, Restream clips, Substack clips, Descript clips. There's all these tools, and you really gotta like figure out what you actually like using, and if it actually fits into your workflow.
yeah, so like Restream really doesn't fit into my workflow, but I haven't done enough more lives. I need to do that, right? Two people told me that I need to do that. And hey, they're on here. But the Restream clips really only benefit when you're using Restream as a place to record your videos. Because when I upload them from Zoom, it only will let me upload a half hour. I'm like, well, my episodes are like 40 minutes or more, so I have to start cutting it. That like
That's why we recently we've been using Substack a lot, but of course Substack is a bit, there's no documentation on how to use Substack, yet it's
Yeah.
been around since like 2017, 2018. So we've recently mastered sending, you can see up to an hour, David, up to an hour. So some people
Yeah.
still are not happy with that time, but it's free. They can send their either vertical or horizontal feed to Substack, and it will generate you 4 shorts. Again, as long as
Well,
you're
before you go into that, I out of all the shorts, just my personal experience of all the different auto shorts, creating them, Substack does, in my opinion, the best AI generated shorts out of all of the different options. And it is free, which is very interesting. Or really making your own, right? So we're really trying to master what works the best. Now, Restream does have some perks for sure, but I don't like this. I don't like the shorts coming out of Restream myself, right? So it really depends on what you're going to use it for. But go back, Mike. I just wanted to make that comment about.
Yeah, and that's what I'm just trying to figure out. Like, to me, this year is a lot of investigation to then fine tune my process, right? Because I'd always been doing it ad hoc, and while I'm still doing a little bit of ad hoc and flying, fixing the engine while I'm flying, it's also just like learning what I want. So, like that's why like Restream, I'm like, okay, the benefit of Restream, but I could probably have the free account versus the paid account. I'm not using the cuts, and then I'm also, there isn't a lot of benefit. To go out to one or two places, I might lose a place, but not a big deal, because I'm not doing that many lives. If you're not doing lives, it doesn't matter where you're putting your videos, and my videos are coming out because it gets pushed out from YouTube.
Well, it's more about syndication, and like what you can do with Restream is literally schedule your stuff. It's just a matter of taking your content that you've already recorded, and it's replays. It's being able to have a centralized place where you can replay your content, because what I'm finding is when I sense, like, LinkedIn's one of those places. I can write a post, I can put a photo up there, I don't get a lot of views, but I send this video to LinkedIn and it's 150, it's 200 views, and that's where the framework coming from. They're like, hey, I'm aware of you, and okay, Lucretia's joining us here. I'm aware of you, and where have you been? And I'm like, well, I'm assuming the LinkedIn algorithm is like, hey, you don't post enough, so we're not going to show you to anybody, but hey, you're going live, so we're going to tell everybody that you're live, and our lives aren't 5 minutes, or not 10 minutes, they're generally an hour 4 times a week. So it's that frequency of me. Nobody's going to go look, unless you're interested in me as a person or my brand or my services. People aren't going to go look for my YouTube channel from LinkedIn. But if we're always streaming either something live or a replay to LinkedIn, that's what's activating the algorithm over on that platform, which I'm like, hey, I'm here.
And what you're explaining is exactly why we started live streaming to begin with, and we started only on YouTube. So we start because I was doing videos and I was hitting that wall, and then I know we were talking and looking at, well, what do we need to do? And Mike's like, you need to live stream it, and I did get a little pushback because I'm like, well, now I got to show up live, right? But then when I got that, that was how people actually get to see me. So I show up in the shorts, we show up. That's probably where most people will go through the lives, will be the vertical. And that is just gives them the opportunity to see that you exist. If I'm just posting a video in the back, which I still do, there it doesn't give the same push as when you go live. And that is one of the biggest perks, is once you have it recorded on Restream or just upload it to Restream, it will push it to whichever platforms you want as a live stream. So it's getting that boost of having the live stream, not just a post.
I was just gonna say there is a hack, of course, with Restream. The free version is 2 channels, and but you get a watermark. You could have, like, my wife and I share a Restream account, so we have all of her socials on here and all of mine. So after we go live on 5 channels, then the recordings in Restream, I will just then go and reschedule it to go to Substack and Rumble and any of the channels we miss, because as soon as it's in Restream, it can just be then rescheduled to go to your others. So there's ways to work around. There's ways to work around.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, I just want to make one comment about that. That is a great hack because you don't have to go and do everything. All you're doing is going in and setting up, just changing where you're connecting it and then streaming it, right? So you don't have to go back, put a new description, put a new title. You don't have to do any of it. You've already got it there. All you're doing is just changing where it's going to go, and you can set up a different time if you wanted it to go live on the other platforms at a different time, right?
Especially with platforms like Rumble and Substack. We mentioned sending these feeds to Substack in order for Substack to generate us shorts, as well as sending it over to Substack to build up our audience over on Substack. When this feed is when we're off of YouTube or Visibility University this morning and the recordings there, I'm going to go in and schedule it for later today to go specifically to Substack and Rumble, just because they both have, it's a little bit of just because there are other channels, but also because they're a little bit more, there's a few other steps you need to do in order for Substack and Rumble to pick up your like right now. All I had to do is click on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. It's like the easy button. You click on them, they work. Substack and Rumble, they're a little bit more. There's a few other steps in order to make sure that those platforms receive your stream. It's very easy to do it from Restream. I love it. I know when I was having a conversation the other night in Austin, somebody's like, "Oh, I use OBS. Like, why would you use Restream? OBS is free." And I'm like, OBS works great, except it's clunky. And when I'm showing a student an interface, I'm like, I'm so well trained on Restream and it's easy, and I'm just gonna say all my customers think it's easy to use. If I show them OBS and it's clunky and it's not smooth, well, they're not gonna want to use it. So yeah, Restream's not the only broadcast software out there. There's a ton of them, but it's ease of use. Like, I know Mr. Chemetsky had asked me about another platform, a different streaming platform, and I investigated it, and I was like, well, I can't send my feed simultaneously to all 5 platforms I want to. So it works great if you like the interface, or the person who recommended it liked the interface. Like, there's all these different tools in order to go live to multiple platforms at once, and or resend your recordings or your previous podcast episodes to multiple places. There's a ton of tools that you use but it's you as a human figuring out the workflow and what you actually like to use, because if you don't like using something, I know you're going to stop using it in a month. So this is why it's fun when I talk to podcasters, YouTubers. I'm like, hey, what's your production workflow look like? What tools are you using? Because I'm sure you either love it or hate it, and let us solve one of those. if things aren't working out the way you want them to be, like I know Mr. Chemetsky's guy, he's like, hey, I want to automate some of my podcast stuff. And I'm like, hey, I got to sit down with you and figure out what is worth automating and making easier and what's not, because then if we can clear some of these hurdles, then you're going to have a much more enjoyable time. And then that's a service or coaching that we can offer to more students as they come in, right? Because we only learn and get better once somebody comes and gives you a problem. Let's say, like, let's solve this together. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
Move forward. Because if you're running into that problem, I know somebody else is running into that problem, and they may or may not be looking for a solution. But if we meet them at one of these YouTube events we go to, or networking events, or I talk to YouTubers and podcasters every day, I'm sure somebody's got the same production challenge that you have, just because I know you shoot a lot of podcasts, right? So
crazy.
You make a lot of content, and then the books and this, and I'm just kind of,
well,
I'm coming from a little bit of a different angle with it, but I'm like, I want to learn from you and smooth everything out. So
yeah, that's where my biggest challenge is, that I create so much darn content, and I think really good content, and that's the feedback I get, that I just can't get it all out. You know, like how long have I been talking about the videos for my books? The books have been written, and I didn't need them to be edited to create the videos I want. I'm like trying to figure out, you know, once Sora came down, I haven't tried any of the other things. I mean, I now know, like this past week, you know, I've been watching what people are saying, that Gemini had really stepped up their game. Claude had stepped up the game on the video aspects of it. I haven't tried it yet, but it's all these little tools, you know, because then there's too many tools, right? You know,
well,
those of us
that's kind of where my next comment is. I don't think, do we have any questions from the chat yet, or
somebody spilled mac and cheese on their laptop and wondered if they could anti-cheese program.
At
So
least
we're
that's
gonna,
not, you know, at least it's just mac and cheese. Could be worse. Water's bad, wine, all that stuff.
But I was gonna say about that is that we are running into a time where perfection is not what people are looking for. So this is like, you have to remember, I know we want perfect edited videos.
Nope.
But the time and what people are looking for now, if it's over perfect, they know it's AI. There is a huge amount of backlash. So, like, yes, there's going to be times where you have to edit out things because it didn't work or whatever. But I really try to err on like not editing, because I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I need my information going out. And almost a better way around that, in my personal opinion, than editing would be more chapters. That would be a better, actually, in my opinion, a better way, because if there's something you're talking about that somebody wants to listen to, they can then go and jump to that part of the video if you have a chapter, versus technically going and editing out, or being like, oh, my eyes looked weird, and then just getting really into like taking out just like this second here, this second
that's
there.
not me. Yeah, you know me. I'm all about authenticity. I don't care if, you know, like, you know, people. One person had commented, you know, Dave, sometimes in your background, you know, I could see your hair or the green, and I'm like, okay, great. If that's distracting you, you aren't like people.
You know,
like yes, could I go get a better background and stuff like that? I'm like, man, everything I do is by the seat of my pants, but it becomes really good, and it's the message. If you're looking for the message, and that's what you guys really teach, and I love that about you guys, is that it's about the message. You know, be a little messy at the beginning, right? That's that authenticity, and do that.
And we also,
that's the only way you're going to get better. You practice, right? And the more you practice, the more you're showing up, you are going to naturally just improve, right? And not going to say that you're not going to have a day where technology doesn't work. Like the last few times we've gone live, there's big parts where Mike's talking, all I hear is that, or vice versa. I'm talking, and you just hear parts of what we're saying, right?
If it's perfect today, we know we can just blame Starlink, because we're in Long Island. We're in the house with internet today. So if things are perfect today, then we'll just blame Elon and Starlink. So. But
and the Mercury retrograde, right?
Always that Mercury retrograde. No, I was gonna bring up, because while we talk about, you know, working on a workflow process for your content to actually get it off the editing bay out of the editing software and upload it, and that's why we like live streaming. But we understand you may have already made content and you just want to repurpose it and get it out, and this is why we like using Restream. But this event I was at earlier this week, as soon as I said, people are like coming up to me, they're like, "Oh, you're YouTube famous." I'm like, "Well, that's the name of the company. Plus, both my wife and I are monetized YouTubers, so we like helping people get past where they're stuck with their content." And I had this lady come up. She's like, I've got 7 days to prove my content is legitimate. And I was like, okay. I'm like, this is interesting. I'm like, okay, so what's the problem? And then and she's like, well, I need an editor to show me what I'm doing. And I was like, okay, that's super interesting. And she's like, well, I make all these travel videos, but my video editors are overseas. And I was like, okay. And of course, it wasn't a conversation I was ready for, but I was like, when somebody says, "Hey, I've got 7 days to prove, to make this video," I was like, okay, wait a minute, you've probably been flagged in the back end in your YouTube studio. You've probably been flagged for having inauthentic content. And YouTube, she didn't come up with that. She's like, she came up with the time. She approached me with the time frame, and as the hamster wheel in my head was spinning, I was like, okay, you've been flagged, and you need to record a process you need to screen capture. You need to record a video of your screen flow on your computer to prove to YouTube that you're actually the one editing your videos and it's not an overseas editor. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you need? Like, she's like, well, this one video we made, it's like 30 minutes long, but it's a travel vlog and it's 500 gigabytes of video files. And I was like, that's a lot of video content, 500 gigs. And she's like, yeah. And I know, like, but I didn't edit it. It was somebody else. But I need somebody here in Austin, Texas to like throw it together on a video editor and show me how to edit it. So that way, and I was like, okay, here's my card. I'm like, this is why you really need to know your content, because even if you're outsourcing your content and you're editing, you still need to know what tools your team is using, because if YouTube or whomever ever comes back to check your work, you need to actually prove to them that you have all your video files in the editor on your computer, your iPad, or whatever.
Can I make also a comment on that? That if you don't know the process and you lose those people that are helping you, you then are not more criminal. Like, I really do believe you have to learn how to make your own content before you outsource it, because then you know what you expect. Then you can give specific instructions to the people you're outsourcing, and then you're going to have better quality. So this means that we have to step up. This is like, people have to stop. I'm going to call it out. You're being lazy. She's being lazy. She doesn't know the process. And at any point, YouTube did that for me when I went to go get monetized. They wanted me to prove that I was making the content. And this was back in the day when I literally was like, I wasn't even using AI at all. I was literally just putting a card down in front of the camera and talking about an Oracle card, right? So they wanted to see the process. I explained it before, and I wasn't even using AI, right? So the reality is, you need to know your content. You need to be the first person that masters your content, even if it's not perfect, but know and have an idea how to make it before you hire people to do it. Like, I think people really want to skip the important steps.
Right.
I'm here and I want this person, I'm just going to give them this task, but you never gave them any instructions. They don't know. They don't know what the end result you want. Plus, if they hold the key of how to do that, they leave, you don't know how to do it. And then you're going to be rushing around trying to find somebody to replace that person. And I find it very interesting, as another side note, especially security wise, and how many times Mike and I have seen that people will give access to their accounts to advertising companies, to their editors, to these things, and give them too much authority and access to their accounts that they get locked out. and then that person leaves or disappears or ghosts you, and you now don't even have your accounts.
Well,
So that lady is literally trying to skip the hard work, very much like the people that are doing full AI, from augmenting their person, right, to having an AI clone, to the AI script, to like not even editing, and not editing but not even watching their content that AI even puts it up because they've augmented it, to not even know what they're actually putting up. Like,
well,
we have to realize, like, we got to stop being lazy. You need to actually participate. If you want something to work, yes, I get you're a business owner, you're learning stuff. You don't necessarily have the time to do it all yourself in the end, but you need to understand that process to start before you can ever have anybody do it well for you. Because then the other one would be somebody else you talked about who was in real estate, and he's got a bunch of people that he's paying to do it, but he doesn't know any process of it, doesn't know what they're doing. They just make content for him. Like, that's very
that
disempowering because
that
most
that
people,
that that's most content when I speak to podcasters. And my first question is, what is your production workflow? And they're like, we shoot it, we send it overseas, we don't post it, they post everything themselves. They got 50,000 followers, blah, blah, or it's whatever. As like, this is going to be at some point, it's going to be a disaster because you're going to get locked out of your accounts because it's not original content, or you're going to get flagged and you're going to have to prove who you are, how you made your videos, et cetera, et cetera. And when you can't prove any of that stuff because you've completely outsourced it, this will be a challenge. The one thing I brought this up, I brought this up yesterday. I've seen one of my friends disappear off all their socials, and I was like, I'm wondering if he's a big proponent of OpenClaw and full automation. And I've recently realized he's disappeared off all platforms. It's been like 7 days since he's posted on anything, and his picture doesn't even show up on most of these platforms anymore. I'm like, I wonder if he got tagged for being inauthentic.
well, I don't know if it's an actual inauthentic tag. However, I do know I was watching a lady
Well,
on YouTube.
compromised, right? Because I'm
Well,
like,
there was somebody on YouTube that made a video, and she was talking about, in the end, the only social media that people are going to trust is going to be YouTube, because YouTube at least has restrictions for AI content, where they're saying what Claude can do for TikTok and Instagram. You're not going to believe anybody is making it anymore. Like, it's all being made by AI. You're like, is that person, did that person even look at that video, that 30-second clip that their AI made before they posted it? What's happening is people aren't even looking at them. They're not even noticing. I get sometimes you might post something that AI helped you make and you didn't notice a little spelling error or something. That definitely happens because you're making a lot of things. But it's also the same level of where you have to take responsibility for what you're creating and stop trying to outsource it to AI or somebody else in a third world country. You can, once you've done it yourself, once you know what you want, then you have to hire people, and you have to unfortunately manage them, because I think that's the biggest step that's missing. Is these people are hiring people overseas on Fiverr and this, but they're not managing them. They're giving them this wage every month or every couple
yeah,
weeks,
yeah,
and
that's
they're just
that's
expecting them to produce content that goes viral, yet they're not even. You're the boss. You are still in charge. If you're running a business, you've just hired another staff member that you need to actually hold accountable. So I think it's funny and it's weird, the psychology that as soon as somebody outsources these contractors, it's like, oh, I'm done. They'll just make me content. They'll just do my whole process.
what I'm
What is with everybody being so lazy? Like, it's so ridiculous that it's at a new level of lazy. But I have to I have to go to Erwin Curtis here. He doesn't want an AI clone, just wants to be a cyborg. You know what? Maybe. But I don't know if I want to live forever. I feel like that could be a problem.
yeah.
But on that side note,
You've heard you've dropped in all my conversations with all these people that I asked them questions about the production workflow. Yes, they've outsourced everything to the overseas, and then I'm like, "What's your ROI on it?" I have no idea. I'm like, so are we not tracking likes and comments? No, no, no. I just make sure it's posted, and it's like, why is that the same answer I get from every single person? oh, it's cheap. It's like whatever fee per month and they're doing it. But it's like, but if there's no traction, if there's no ROI, if you can't actually see your subscriber count go up or booked consulting jobs come out of it or increased book sales on Amazon because you're getting your like if the needle isn't being moved, then we need to fix that workflow process.
Well, exactly. And that would be the same thing. Like if you had a staff and had an office of staff and somebody is a salesperson and they're month after month not getting you sales, you would fire them. But when you go to
But
these
then
people
replace, but
making
then
new videos, you're not thinking of it as an employee the same way. So either you have to do it or you have to manage them. There is no in between. You cannot do and be this lazy and be successful. Like that lady, she's just lazy. Okay. She wasn't laziness. She turned the camera on. She got herself 500 gigabytes or what do you say, whatever
that's how
megabytes.
much that's how much video files that they had for this one.
And what are they even doing with it?
I,
Like
I, I,
obviously
it was a
it's not.
travel blog, and I'm like 500 gigs is multiple. That's a lot of hours, and you're editing like so. I was like,
Well, it makes me wonder why that is. And I actually would assume is probably what's actually got her noticed by YouTube. Because if every video is that big, why are you taking so much up for data space, right? Because that's a huge video and it's
no,
only
the more I questioned her, I was like, well, okay. Not saying you can't delegate your editing out, but you as a creator would have to know the workflow and be like, hey, we're using Final Cut, or we're using Filmora, or we're using CapCut, or we're using this editing tool. Normally in a video editing bay, they've got templates. You're like, okay, this is how kind of coming from Hollywood training, like they're the show in the editing bay, there's a template based on the broadcast clock. So they know the first minute it's going to be this. This is the commercial. Like there's a layout, there's a template. They're not just willy-nilly throwing video in and editing it. There's like a templated process to like most shows, most like even brands who are doing great things on shorts, they have templates for their shorts. It's like, here's the hook, here's this, here's the next piece, here's the next piece.
exactly. And whoever's
That's what
making them is doing the same process every time.
When you go to delegate out, I'm like, your staff should really be taking your workflow process and just offloading that from you, not inventing their own. Because when it comes to you getting fact checked by any platform and asking for video verification, you're making your own videos and you're not outsourcing it, you're not going to be able to prove it if it's somebody else doing it, right?
Well, in fairness, if you do hire somebody who's going to suggest and show you what they're going to do and then teach you so you know what they're doing for you, so at least you understand the process and you've agreed to what they're doing, because maybe, because fair enough, some people may not be able to. And they're like, okay, this person says that they can do it. You need to still understand what they're doing. And you need to still be doing the quality check that it's going to match what you want your voice to say. What do you want your messages to say? Does it even match? Like, I wonder with a lot of these people that outsource them, if they even know what content is actually being posted on behalf of them. How are you watching?
Based on, okay, some people I know, when I chat with, they know exactly what's going on. They're just completely unhappy with it. But until they meet somebody who can say, hey, this is why I write reports for people. I generate reports for people that saying, I'm like, here's what you're posting on your Facebook. Here's what you're posting on your TikTok. Here's screenshots of what you're posting. Because I want you as a creator to verify that you're actually paying attention to what your VAs or outsourced people are actually posting for you. I want to see what the metrics are, because a lot of time it's not, they most of the time, they don't know. They just like, hey, there's people coming into my booking calendar. I don't care what is being posted. I don't care if it's consistent. I just want the calendar to be booked. And I'm like, as long as you can measure that, and if you're happy with that, great. But you're obviously having a conversation with me because you're not happy and you want to know how to fix it going forward. So
Exactly. Well, we have a question. We have a question on this, right? So we have Watch Me Will says, if you're going to hire someone to do it, why would you prep it for them? So like this is not we're not saying prep it. We're saying you need to know the process and know what you expect and you've got to train them or make sure they know it. So if they don't know how to do it, they've got to prove they know how to do it. So you have this process done or they have to provide it and you have to manage them. You're hiring them. Yes, we're really telling you to manage your hires. Know what they're creating, know what tools they're using, know what they're creating on behalf of you. That is your responsibility. If you're going to post it on your YouTube, on your Facebook, on your Instagram, you're going to take it as your content because you hired these people to do it. You need to take the responsibility to be the boss because you are the boss because you've hired them. You have to take that responsibility to know what they're creating. And often when people are hired into new businesses, they may not know a tool that a business uses, and you have to show them how to use it. Because if you do prefer a certain tool and you've seen them, you're like, okay, this person makes really good shorts, blah, blah, blah. But I really want them to use this tool. That would be what you would do because that is what an actual really good business owner does is they train their employees or they make sure their employees and contractors are doing the job and they know what they're doing. Because the reality is, I know, Mike, you've been a contractor your entire adult life. You explain to everybody what you're doing. They are fully aware of what you're going to do. This is the conversation back and forth. What we're really seeing is specifically with people outsourcing to Fiverr and all these other places, they're not doing any due diligence. They don't even know what people are using to make their product or the videos with, right? What do you have to say to that, Mike?
I would say the person you're hiring needs to prove they actually know what they're doing.
Yeah,
and you're not hiring them based on, oh, they're like $400 a month and they're going to make all my shorts. I'm like, can they prove their long form or short? Can they prove that they've actually had success with the content they've put out? Right. This is what I'm saying, that when I talk to creators, I'm like, well, I've got somebody managing my YouTube. I'm like, but the person managing your YouTube, are they in the YouTube partner program? Are they a monetized YouTuber? Can they actually show you how to go from you're stuck at 500 subs or you're stuck at 5,000 subs? Or do they actually have the track record to improve your accounts? Because if not, you're just throwing money at somebody to do the busy work. That's not actually helping you move forward. You want to achieve that next level, right? So
exactly. And the reality is at that point, you might as well just go live, do it dirty, show up every day. Even if you only go live for 10 minutes every day and just talk about your business, you might as well do that because that's going to be a bigger bang for your buck going live than spending this money that isn't working because you don't even know what's going on. And as Aaron Curtis says, outsourcing is not going to stop. That is true. We are good. More and more people are going to be contractors, but that's still an employee you're outsourcing, right? So the reality is, even if you're outsourcing, you're still hiring them as an employee. They're just not on a payroll per se, where you take,
what we're trying to
where you're doing
clarify
your
is
taxes.
you actually know. I'm just saying, when I talk to creators, I'm like, I want to know what their production workflow looks like, and I usually get the dazed and confused look, or the deer in the headlights. Like, I don't know what our process is. I've just completely outsourced it. It is like, but if you're the boss, like, everything can be outsourced. I don't do my own oil changes. I go to a mechanic and get my oil changes done. But I also know what the end result is supposed to look like to know if they actually did the job, if they did it correct, or if I'm gonna, there's been plenty of times in my adult life where I leave a mechanic, drive a mile down the road, and the car stops working. And I'm like, what just happened in this whole experience? I thought I had it under control. I thought I knew what I just paid for, and I've been lied to. I've been deceived, and I need to be more
due diligent. And it's interesting because that's like a one-off story, like that happens occasionally, but this is what people are paying for consistently with their content they're making. So there's a bigger problem because it's really like you just literally like decompartmentalized it, that somebody else is taking care of it, so you can close that door. You don't need to take responsibility, but unfortunately, you still have to take responsibility if it's your channel. It is
So
fully your responsibility.
it was just this. I have this conversation with content creators every single week. It just popped up. I'm in Austin, Texas. I was in Austin, Texas earlier this week, and somebody's like, "Hey, I need somebody to show me how to prove that I make my own videos, which I'm not making." And I was like, "Well, you know what we can do? We can go download your video from your YouTube account and throw it in the editing bay, and then go grab your 500 gigabytes worth of video files, also download and throw those into the editing bay, and then make it look like you made that video." And then the response from this lady was, "Oh, my computer doesn't even have enough storage space, and this is why I'm trying to outsource it." And I was like, the story just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I'm like, there's
Well, okay.
there's so many environmental variable. I'm like, somebody I met at a networking event, she found out I did YouTube, and it was like question after question after question after question. I was like, I can help you with this, but I don't even know where this story is going to end.
Well, again, I feel like it's just a lack of taking some responsibility and wanting an easy way. And unfortunately, what I have learned in my years of living is if you are trying to cut corners and trying to do something that you perceive as easy, it always usually bites you in the ass. It really does. Now we have a couple comments. So Watch Me Will was thinking we were talking about outsourcing things like a bunch of footage, that this is what I'm trying to create, and here's some key points and shit, and want to touch on that. Now, fair enough. That might be your
At
expectation.
that point, at that point you're outsourcing the creative, which is fine. But what I'm saying is that you know what you're at that point. You know what you're looking for. So
Exactly.
you
You've given
send the footage
specific
off.
instructions,
You
right?
send the
You've
footage
given.
off to them. If you like it, great. I think you as a creator should still be posting it yourself and not letting somebody else post it on your behalf. Plus, also as the creator, I want you to get to know the details of how the editor's creating it, what editing to. I want you to have a copy, whether it's CapCut or Final Cut or whatever. I want you to have the source files for that editing project, because
Exactly.
if you need to prove to YouTube or TikTok or whatever platform in the future that you created that video yourself, you need the ingredients on your computer so you can prove that you made it yourself. You like
Exactly.
YouTube doesn't need to know you hired an editor, even if you're doing it. I'm just saying, if from when I present in my other job, in my other role as cybersecurity expert, helping businesses recover from getting hacked, I outsource to smarter people all the time. But when I'm sitting down with the business owner, I'm like, hey, you have these problems. Here's a solution we gave you. And if they ask me for how I got from A to B, I'm going to be able to document it articulately because I actually understand the process. I may
And
not
you
have the
you're
final result because I delegated it out, but I'm able to prove our work. I'm able to
Well,
prove.
and you are not just outsourcing it and not making sure they did their job, because the job's not done unless you've seen them complete their end, right? So there's a whole process with it. But one of the things I want to bring up also, which is related but not completely related, a little bit, is achieving level success is more about charisma. Not everyone will have it. Now, there is a valid point to that. I definitely agree with Aaron Curtis that we're not all going to have a viral video. Like, that is legitimately, if that's your expectation to get to be Mr. Beast and have viral videos, that's not what we're promoting. Now, fair enough, some people have that and will do it. That's just who they are. They're going to do it. We use this YouTube, the visibility university, being seen. We use this tool so you can share your message. It's specifically for businesses. Now, we're in a time where we used to have very successful businesses in one location. Nobody knew we existed outside of the location, really, besides, a little bit online, but not really. When COVID happened and everything locked down, that our clientele and businesses literally shrunk and disappeared, only being reliant on local. So the reality we're in at this point is you need to have your business that people can find you, because how else are they going to get to know, like, and trust you unless you show up in front of them? Now you can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, you can put ads together, you can do that, you can spend it on advertising teams, you can definitely do that. That is one way you can go about it. Success can again be just as questionable. Or you go about it this way, where you are showing up on a regular basis, talking about your message, that you are organically finding the people that will invest, support you, or like your content. And fair enough, there's going to be somebody that's going to fit you. You may not be the next Mr. Beast, and that's not what we're pushing. I would never, I honestly, I know I'm never going to be Mr. Beast. I have not that want. I want to share a certain reality and a certain information, and just find the people that appreciate that. So it depends on what your motivation is. Now, if you want to have that viral video and stuff, you are gonna have to control that creative process like Mr. Beast did, and make it a work and process. Because Mr. Beast, the only reason he's been able to expand is every person he contracted out and hired knew, and he had to test them, and he put the expectations of what they were going to do. He doesn't just let the videos go live without him being part of that process. He still is part of it to see the end thing. He may not make every video anymore, but he is still actively knows what's going on.
I'm gonna say that they're not sending it overseas. They're not looking at the whole editing process. It's outsourced. There's staff doing it, but I'm like, they know, because I think we've watched an interview. I know during the YouTube Partner Program ongoing training that we do, we've had the thumbnail, just one of the thumbnail editors come on. So they're like, this is how many thumbnail revisions we do. It's just like, they know which video. They don't release all the videos that they make, because they're like, hey, we were gonna release this video, but then we saw our audience dynamics changing. They got a big massive issue right now with declining. They're losing millions of subscribers over at his channel. So obviously they've got some production issues that they got to fix. But I know that from the past, there's a ton of videos that they've made they don't even release, right?
Okay,
but
I have to go back to because Erwin Curtis. Fair enough. Every business person has to have some charismaticness, some charisma to even attract their clients. Like, that is actually part of it. Is people are either gonna fit with you or not, but majority of people are not going to be appealing to 100% of the people that see them. That is the truth. Like, very rarely are you going to get somebody that everybody loves. Like, there is people like that. There's people that have that charismatic thing, but each person has to have their own uniqueness to it. You sell a product, you're one-on-one with somebody, you had to be charismatic if you were one-on-one. Your people are learning who you are.
Well, it's also that's the thing with business. You may get that first sale, but the real test of a business is multiple sales, right? And when there's like 16 different minimum 16 different personality types out there, like, after you've been a consultant or in business or whatever you've been doing for like a good 5 years, once you've got over that 5 year, the year number 5 is always the most challenging. I know, because I'm currently in that situation with my new business. It's just, can you keep the repeat customers coming, right? Because you're like, hey, I've got this product, I got the service, I'm making videos to promote myself, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, you need charisma. Of course, people only buy from people they know, like, and trust. But are you able to make that repeat sale?
Well, and it's showing up, and getting better and better at talking and communicating your message as well. That's going to make you more charismatic. Because in fairness, from the first live I ever did to the lives as I've progressed, it is getting better. It gets better. It gets better. The reality is you have to do 10,000 hours of anything to master it. You really do. And most of us are just on the surface of it. So definitely, if you're going to go viral and be the next Mr. Beast, great. But we don't want you to have unrealistic expectations. We want you to exist. We want people to be able to go, oh, I heard this person that has this business, and if I Google them, they show up. And that's the importance of the visibility, is when you're showing up in all the social medias and then somebody looks up your name, you actually rank on Google without doing the SEOs. If you search my business, I'm the first thing that comes up is you've got my Instagram, you've got my Facebook, you've got my YouTube, my website, like all of that comes up, and it comes up in that first page in that Google search, which
No,
I didn't do
no,
any
no, no, no paid ads. No paid
no paid
ads.
ads, no SEO. So it is a part of building the business, and that's what we really talk about now. Before, because we're running down to the last 9 minutes, because I do know we need to jump off and get ready to go to our event today, but I wanted to touch base with Lucretia and see if she had any questions or anything today that she wanted us to take a look at before we round out for the day, for the afternoon, morning, evening, wherever you are in this world.
I don't have anything like super major. I'm still trying to, like, because I won't be able to make it live and I want to keep my schedule, pre-record some of the stuff. I'm just struggling with how I should pre-record it, like whether I should just like screen record, use Descript. I'm like toying with a couple of things.
Which tool do you find works best with your equipment setup?
I like, so when I was doing podcasting, like probably a year ago, I was using Squadcast through Descript, and it was like very temperamental, and I kind of didn't like it.
Okay.
And then, but Descript's like video editor, like recording, has gotten a lot better. And either way, even if I screen record it, I'm gonna probably put it into Descript to edit it anyway.
Okay.
So I just.
Well, I was gonna say, because I know we've been talking to you about we've been testing it for automated shorts. It doesn't matter if I send vertical or horizontal feed to Substack. Substack will make it, if it's horizontal, it's still making it a vertical short, which is amazing. So when I first got my training to do podcasting and recording in studio with Zoom, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. So I say you got to figure out what works best with your compute, with the tools, with the hardware that you got, right? So
well, I guess it's what's easiest. I, in my personal opinion, I'd be like, well, how do I normally go live? And I would just mirror that, right? Like that's just my, if I'm going to do a live and I'm missing it, we've been just doing the same process and then streaming it.
Part of Restream, we've got a paid package. It's like, we told you it was like $50 a month or whatever. We find it, usually straightforward because we like recording in Restream, so we can do either vertical or horizontal. It's not the only option out there, but I find that it works well with our MacBooks, because the MacBooks have like a high-end webcam. Like I've told everybody, I've literally stopped recording with my 4K webcam at a Logitech 4K webcam. I stopped using it. I've got a Sony I've got a Sony DSLR and a Canon Rebel DSLR. I should literally go sell that equipment, because I used to use that stuff in a podcast studio hooked up to a MacBook recording in Zoom. And that was before I met Restream. And I'm like, I'm just doing everything this way going forward, because it's easier. I don't have to lug the equipment. I'm not even using my professional microphone anymore and my soundboard. Like, it's all in storage, because I'm literally like, hey, the MacBook M4. Many of our new students are getting MacBook Neos, and they're like, Mike, this is amazing. I can just take it wherever I am. I can always plug in another USB camera or wireless lapel mics into the MacBook. It just works great, and I could just record everything in Restream and then rebroadcast. So this is amazing. And I'm like, only something I've learned in the last 6 months, right? So there may be, we may be onto a new tool in the future, but I just say, whatever's
I want to highlight this comment because I think it's appropriate. So Van Gogh sold nothing. The geniuses and alphas like Bach and Tesla give I'll just say blank about what a bunch of losers think. And hey, I have to say, with this comment from Leon, you know what? That is the reality. You can't care about what other people think. You have to make it for yourself. first, and and master that process. And the reality is often we aren't appreciated till way down the line once you've created a masterpiece, right? So what, Lucretia, I would recommend for you would just be, what is going to be the easiest way for you to just get it, so you've got it recorded, and then you can get it to stream on your normal time. Whatever's going to be simplest, because you might want to just try this out, do the simple way, whatever. I like that. Keep it simple, stupid. Let's not make it overcomplicated, right? Do whatever is the easiest process to get it done, and then decide to edit it after, right? Like maybe after the fact, you're like, okay, maybe I didn't like that. So the next time that you're maybe going through a week or two where you can't be live exactly and you want to pre-do them, try something else, right?
Yeah.
And then play around with it, because that is the great thing about where we are in a time. One software might be great, but in 2 months you might be using something totally different and be like, this is better. And then you might be 2 months after that back to that first software because it works better now, right? So, I would just say whatever's going to work easiest in your flow to get it done, so you've got it, so it goes live, so you're keeping that consistency, right? Because often we do talk about it, getting and being consistent, especially with when you're streaming and as close to the same time every week like you're doing a TV show, is just going to help you stay accountable, and it's going to also give out that message and that cue to the viewers that you're always live at this time, so they'll start to anticipate when you're live, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just like this one, I have to do on my desktop, like my laptop, just because of what I'm going live, like the topic I'm going live about. But then the next one, I might even try to do it like from my phone and just like test out a couple different ways. Cause I think I have like 2 or 3 weeks in like the next 2 months where I'm not going to be able to like make it right at the times that I've set, but I still want to make sure that I'm showing up. So
And that's the process of just refining to get a little bit, in reality, like where I started and here, I'm not going to say it's not perfect, definitely not, but I can definitely see, I'm like, oh, that was, like I look back and I'm like, that was difficult. That was a struggle to get those lives out. I wasn't necessarily fully consistent at this point. But that is part of us not being AI. We're humans. We learn, we adapt, and we grow, right? And
yeah,
so it's just becoming part of your process. So you're always showing up to share your message is really what we want, to talk about. And yes, Watch Me Will, it is Restream. That is what we do really well.
I was gonna make a comment about Watch Me Will. Yeah, it's nice because I just want to talk about Restream because there is a ton of encode. Restream is not just an encoder like OBS. It's broadcast software, but what I find is that I'm looking at the screen right now. I see the portrait view and then I see the landscape view. So we can live stream. You can live stream to multiple platforms at the same time and send both either vertical or horizontal to those platforms based on what they accept. And it literally will work with any of the platforms out there, even if something requires like custom RTMP servers. Like, so for example, if you had a Roku channel, you can live stream to Roku, Substack, and Rumble. And then this works really well with TikTok. It works really good with Instagram, like all the platforms, as long as you have a account and they allow you to. The only one we're not streaming right now to Instagram because neither of us have a Instagram account with 1,000 subscribers. So I would love for any of our students who have 1,000 subscribers on Instagram to help us test that out. And streaming, I'm about to activate. I was thinking about X because you can live stream to X now, but you have to be on a paid account with X. And I haven't really used my X account a lot recently, but I've heard through the grapevine that other people I know are getting massive, like they just start streaming to X and they've been able to accumulate thousands of subscribers really shortly on X. But you gotta
exactly. And so summarizing that up, sorry to cut you off, but
course.
it's really showing, like, this is why we like the Restream. This is why we want to do the multi-platforms, because you don't actually know where your viewers might be. So if you're only, again, we've talked about this many, many times, if you're only posting or just doing a live right directly to Facebook or only to YouTube or only to Instagram or only to LinkedIn, that may not be where a lot of the people that really want to see your content are. So you really want to show up as many places as you can. And that was also why we used Restream, because we definitely could increase our package so we could, restream to more simultaneously. But then, as we talked about earlier, we found the workarounds where we can stream it to the max amount that we've paid for, and then after it's streamed, then stream it to the other accounts after the fact. So it's just got a really great tool to use in that fact
Yeah.
of
And this particular view that you see, whether you're watching us on portrait or landscape, we're using an overlay right now. So you see the Visibility University graphic, and then the three, David's dropped off. So you see 2 or 3 talking heads either at the bottom of the screen or on the side. Typically, we actually have a lot of other screens loaded, but today's been great for chat comments. So thank you for all the chat comments. We haven't even gone through we've probably got like 8 or 9 images loaded. So we've got a whole bunch of images to present today that I think this is the same that's happened the last 2 weeks, where we haven't even had time to go through all the other images because we had nice community conversation this morning.
exactly, and that is
it's
big.
always great to have viewers and people participating in the chat.
And that's, I would say, is part of the contributing, that we're showing up every week at the same time for over a year. And then it started to get bigger and bigger, and we've refined this process to show up consistently, regularly lives, right? So I want to make a couple comments on the comments before we end, because we got to get out of here. But I do think it's funny because not only blonde, could be brunette. You just got to get the boobs in the pictures. You got to get the boobs, and your subs will drop.
Going viral. Easy way to go viral.
Go viral with the boobs. And unfortunately, as a woman, I find that like it just cringes and drives me crazy. But there is a point if you want to hack that system. There's also ways of where if you can get that short, so it's like that half a second and it repeats, you can trick people into watching it 10,000 times, and before they even realize they've watched it, and you can get a lot of views.
That's how the teenagers do it right now. It's called looping. So if you've seen any social media people that look like they're 18, 19, 20, 21 blow up on blow up's the wrong word, get really popular on social media recently, it's probably because they pay a lot of money for loopers to loop the video. So it's a 20, 30, 40-second video, but you don't realize it's already over because they've edited it so well to loop.
Yes.
That's really popular right now.
Exactly. Yeah, use your girls, like bring girls in, that
flash the Lambos, flash a cash that party at Lake Austin I was at. The guy, I know he's in real estate. He's got this big like $8 million mansion on Lake Austin. And he brought out, he's like, do you want to see the play money? He's like, all the videos we do, we got the play money. And I'm like, of course you've got this house. I didn't see any Lambos or Ferraris, but I saw the stack of play cash that shows up in every video, right? The cringe factor, the viral.
The cringe factor. I hate those. I agree. I do hate those loops, because then I get mad that I got caught in them, and I'm like, damn you! I watched it like 10 times before I saw that I was in that loop. I'm like,
one of our students, Jared, who has an engraving business in Texas, he's really good with loops.
He is. He's very, very good at loops. Okay, so as we finish up, because now we're past the hour and we got to move on. So we want to remind you that we do this coaching, we do this visibility engine training. To start with us, you can go to breathewithinyoga.com and register with Gold. This is how you get notification when we go live. You'll get notification of all the projects we're working with and all the different things we're doing. So that's the first level to start with. And then if you do want to get into this and learn more about how we can help you become more visible, go to IamYouTubeFamous.com and you can learn all about what we offer there. Any closing remarks before we head off, Mike?
No, come and join us, because I'm an open book. As I said, we started Visibility University 59 weeks ago because I had somebody tell me you need to help more people with this. And I'm like, I agree. He's like, well, you're the YouTube expert. Why aren't you live streaming every single week talking about YouTube? And I'm like, thanks for suggesting what I should be doing. So we started, and we're literally documenting our experiences going from channels with 0 subscribers up to 1,000, reaching the watch time requirements at YouTube. And we're literally saying, here's our experience, bring us your experience because we want to learn from you and share it with the and compare notes, because the only way you level up on your business, building your audience and making better content, is by getting feedback from other people and inviting them to come subscribe to your YouTube channel, right?
Exactly. So subscribe on your way out so you can be notified when we come alive. We'll be live again tomorrow night with my weekly energy, but we will be here again next Sunday. And I am missing another screen that I keep forgetting to put back in here. So you can join us tomorrow, 7
Thanks,
p.m.
Will. Thanks, Will.
Sorry?
I was reading the comment. Will says, have fun at your event. We're definitely going to go. First time in Long Island. First time going to the Hamptons. YouTube influencer event at the Hamptons. Woo.
We pretend like it's important, but it is a lot of fun. So do join us. Make sure you subscribe. You'll be notified when we go live this week. It'll be tomorrow night. We're live. We're live on Monday night for Two Real, Two Truths, and a Lie. It is a great one about technology and what is happening. And we will be live again on Thursday when we do our weekly news and astrology. And that is awesome. Watch Me Will is close to 500 subs. That is a big marker. YouTube has changed certain things, so there is some monetization and some ways to start to make some money when you hit that 500 subs, which is, so you're coming along. That is wonderful. And on that, thank you, Lucretia, for joining us as always, and thank you, Aaron Curtis and Watch Me Will, and I believe we had also Brandon Bricks. I was reading your comments. Those were quite funny and humorous. I appreciate everybody else, and if I did forget to mention you, thank you again for showing up, and of course, David for being here earlier. And on that, I'm going to end this, and we will see you guys same time next week. Bye.
Yeah.